In exactly 6 weeks, voters will decide whether to remove Governor Gavin Newsom from office.
And there is a new poll out today from Fox 5 and Emerson College showing support for the recall is growing. And joining us around the table now to break it all down, these results that just came in, is Will Rodriguez-Kennedy, the chairman of the San Diego Democratic Party. And we also have Paula Whitsell, the chairwoman of the San Diego County Republican Party. So we thank both of you for this time. When we got this poll in, we knew we wanted to talk to you because we are seeing that there is, I guess you could say, more enthusiasm. About 46% of people are now in favor of this recall, showing more support of it. That's up 3% from our last poll, which was about 2 weeks ago. So I'll ask you first, Paula, what do you read into that from your perspective?
Well, I think the people of California have come to the realization of the fact that their lives are not better, they're worse, that our governor has been an equal opportunity wrecking ball in the sense that our homelessness, our crime, people are leaving California. We're losing a congressional seat because we've lost so many to other states. And, you know, our children have been out of school for a year and a half. We've lost so many businesses that are never coming back. And then to top it off, we have the incredible hypocrisy of, you know, what the rules for me don't serve for you, when the governor was caught right after the second lockdown at the French Laundry. So I think people are finally realizing that, you know, $5 a gallon gas is not necessarily the norm, and we have to do something about it.
All right, and Will, from your point of view, what do you make of the poll?
Well, it's not unusual for polls to tighten, especially in a tight election. It's also important to note that the party is just starting, and a lot of people are going to be tuning in. There is a majority in the state. It's really a turnout game. And when it comes down to turnout games, especially in San Diego County, our party has an advantage, and we will continue to do that and make sure that we stress that the governor has actually done a pretty good job. And especially if you compare him with governors from Republican states, you'll find that we are doing a lot better, that we are healthier, that we have more access to vaccines, and that people are dying at a less rate per capita.
And you're talking about the pandemic in this unprecedented time.
Now, right now, as we look at the candidates who could potentially replace the governor if he were to be recalled, 40% are pretty undecided on who should replace him if that happens. So does that favor Republicans or Democrats? Will, why don't you start with this one?
Well, we're not really talking about who's going to replace the governor, because all we care about is that people vote no on the election. But if we're going to talk about the clown car of Republican candidates that have decided to show up at the ballot box, it's really a fascinating group of people, and I think that none of them should ever be anywhere close to Sacramento.
Paul, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, it's not just Republicans either. There's a lot of candidates who are in there.
There's a variety of different candidates, and basically it's going to be the people of California that are going to make that decision. So the first question is on the ballot is going to be whether or not to recall the governor. So yes on the recall, and then pretty much anyone other that's on the rest of the ballot will probably give California a better chance at picking themselves up than what we have right now.
Do you have a preference on a candidate?
No, at this point, we're not. No one is endorsing. We're leaving that really to the people to decide. So I am not going to come out in favor of any particular candidate, but pretty much any of the above would be better than what we have right now.
Well, then let me ask you about the front runner right now on the Republican side of it. It is radio talk show host, conservative Larry Elder. What is it? He's actually breaking away from the pack even more. What is it that the attraction is as him as a candidate for governor, as opposed to somebody who has some government experience, like, say, former Mayor Kevin Faulconer here from San Diego? Will, do you have an opinion on that?
It's very clear why there's a talk show host that is leading the Republican pack, because the Republican Party and their elected officials have lost the mandate to lead. And we're talking about when the people decide. When the people decide is when a majority vote. And the person who wins, if we were to go yes on the recall, would not have a majority mandate. It would be a smaller group of people stealing the vote from a larger group of people, and it's important to vote no.
And Paula?
Well, I think that the polls are showing the shift in the sentiment is the result of people's on-the-ground experience with this governor. So I think the reason why those polls are tightening is because people are realizing that they need a change. And so Larry Elder is coming out ahead, but there are other good candidates as well. So I think that, you know, he has name recognition, so probably that helped as well. because he is a person that has a radio show here in the state of California. But there are other wonderful candidates as well that have experience, that have showed that they have the wherewithal to run a state like California, because we're #1 in poverty and we're number 47 in schools, so that's not a good track record.
Paul, you said any of the above. I mean, you're talking about some people with experience, but do you truly believe any of the above than the governor?
Well, I don't know all of the declined estates and some of the other candidates. I'm just speaking for
Maybe some of the front runners with big name recognition but no experience?
Yeah, those would probably be the ones that really would have an impact, that will get a certain number of votes, because the way this recall works, it's whoever gets the most votes. So it's not a normal primary, so it's not a normal situation. So it's a turnout. It's a really...
Yeah, and as Will said, 9.4 million turned out in 2003 that put Arnold Schwarzenegger, another Republican, in over Gray Davis, who was a Democratic incumbent. So what are you going to do, Will? We'll give you the last word on trying to drum up that turnout.
Well, it's important to note that we have a lot of work to do, and if Democrats are not taking this seriously, they will after seeing polls like this. Our party will engage this primary, or this recall election. We will do it vibrantly, and we will fight to defend our governor from extremists who are trying to steal the vote from the people of California, a majority vote.
All right, we appreciate the conversation, guys. Paula and Will. We'll see how this all plays out here in 6 weeks. And then we'll do it again, I guess, next year when we have
That's right.
full gubernatorial election once again. Thank you guys both.
We appreciate you giving your input for our viewers. We appreciate it.
problem.
All right, so that's one governor who's gotten a lot of pressure. There's another governor as well we're going to talk about momentarily, but some of the candidates running to replace Governor Newsom in the recall will face off in a debate tomorrow. San Diegans John Cox and former Mayor Kevin Faulconer, along with Assemblyman Kevin Kiley and former Congressman Doug Osee, all set to participate. It's happening tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at the Nixon Presidential Library in Yorba Linda. Fox 5 will be there live. Spots are still being held for Governor Newsom, Caitlyn Jenner, and Larry Elder, who are also invited to attend. Now,